exit ends.
If ever there was a bloke you want in your corner, it's Damien Mander. I first met this former Australian commando in 2010. Back then, he'd taken up the battle to save Africa's mighty black rhino from poachers. Now he's fighting for that great symbol of Africa, the elephant. It is very much a war. And a warning, the images from this battlefield are confronting. But Damien believes the military technology that kept him alive in Iraq could be the key to victory. Sunset in Africa is one of the best times to see its magnificent wildlife. And there's nothing quite so majestic as the elephant.
That looks like quite a big herd. Yeah, mate, yeah, there's a few bulls hanging around the outside of a herd there.
It's easy to see why former Australian commando Damien Mander has fallen in love with the place.
With a little one, check the little one there. He's just a baby. He is over the top of the grass. Yeah, it's cool, eh? Yeah. It takes a while for them to get to figure out how to use their trunk. It's just like a bloody loose cannon.
Well, you wouldn't want to get too close with that baby. They'd be pretty protective, wouldn't they?
Yeah, mate, yeah. But yeah, you know what mothers are like. Clean your room, honey. Stay away from those people. Sorry, Mum.
We may laugh, but there's been very little joy in the life of the world's largest land mammal recently. And the images of their plight are certainly confronting. But this is the bloody reality of the ivory trade. It's reached a 30-year high, and the signs of slaughter are everywhere.
Liam, here you go, mate. This one's quite recent. It's been ripped apart by the lions and hyenas. The vultures have had a crack as well.
Well, they have. Oh, it's on the nose.
Yeah, it is. You can tell by the teeth. It's quite young. Ivory of probably 2 or 3 kilos. Whole face has been cut away here. They would have done that with an axe as quick as possible.
Well, they just hacked the face off.
Cut into it, mate. It's like cutting into wood.
How long do you think it's taken them to do that?
Half an hour, mate. Half an hour from the shot fired, elephant going down, axes into the head, ivory's out, they're on their way. It's just tragic, mate. Jeez, it pisses me off.
I first met Damien Mander in 2010.
Down, face down, face down, face down.
A young Australian soldier hardened by 12 tours of duty in Iraq, who decided to lay his body on the line in another war, fighting poachers.
I had to go through what I went through, going through Iraq and seeing the worst side of humanity to make me come over here and spend the time here to understand what's going on here. And I mean, you can't make everyone do that. But it's something that I know is right, looking after the environment. If we don't protect it, this earth is going to chew us up and spit us out.
And this is what's at the heart of Damien's war. Masses of ivory. The brutal bounty of an estimated 25,000 African elephants slaughtered in just the past 12 months.
Why is ivory becoming an issue now after so many years?
Geez, mate, it's just an insatiable demand coming from Asia. And how do you meet that? You could compare it to trying to hold back the tide with your own bare hands. And despite all the good work that's been done here, you know, they desperately need something else that's going to help them win this battle.
And nowhere is the battle more critical than the massive Niassa Reserve in northern Mozambique. It's a key buffer zone against the poaching that has pushed elephants to the point of local extinction further north. And joining Damien in the fight is Derek Littleton, who runs ecotourism in part of the reserve.
Oh, gee, this is only a little one.
Jesus.
Look at the size of the animal. This is a baby, man.
Guys, these poachers use AK-47s,
They're generally using AK-47s, which is totally inadequate for an animal this size. And they just open up and put a magazine into an individual, or sometimes just shoot into a herd and hope for the best. So you end up with all these wounded animals running around in the bush, some of them dying later, some of them are a real danger to everybody else out there. And there's just the bloody tragedy of the suffering that goes with it, you know?
One of the main reasons these are at the mercy of the poachers is that they get virtually no protection from the local laws. It's a bit of a throwback to the old colonial days when elephants were so abundant, but the laws haven't caught up. You see, here in Mozambique, if you steal someone's chook, you'll spend 3 months in jail. If you kill their cow, you'll spend 18 months behind bars. But if you kill one of these magnificent creatures, you'll be out in less than 3 days.
The tragedy of it is that the wholesale slaughter that's going on means that some of these populations are not going to recover unless we really put the brakes on now.
It's crunch time.
It's crunch time.
Vai. Come on.
And force must be met with force.
Vai.
A specialist sniper, Damien runs tactical response programs for rangers in Zimbabwe, South Africa, and now Mozambique.
Not like this. Okay. Down.
But as the poachers get smarter, so must the gamekeepers. And that's why Damien is dragging this war into the 21st century.
This camera's really just turning night into day, isn't it?
It's a FLIR thermal imaging camera, and it's a real game changer for us. And it's an awesome bit of kit.
A thermal imaging camera detects body heat. So no matter how dark it is, any living thing moving across the landscape will be picked up from metres or kilometres away, meaning the poacher's cover of darkness is blown.
It's real spy versus spy stuff, isn't it?
But you know, mate, I've been involved now with conservation for 3 years. It's the first time I've laid hands on one of these cameras since I left the military. What I think is if it's good enough for our soldiers on the battlefield, it should be good enough for the guys trying to protect the animals in the bush.
The cameras have picked up a heat signal down on the river, so we move off the mountain to investigate. Of course, at night in the African bush, the poachers aren't the only things that kill.
You start thinking about the poachers, and you end up running into elephant and lion and buffalo and so on. You have to be awake.
She's bloody dodgy, mate. Listen, it's not full of kangaroos and possums out here. I'm still regularly shitting myself.
Crossing a river throws crocodiles and hippopotamus into the mix of hazards. Ahead lies a camp. They could be poachers, they could be fishermen. Out here, they are often both.
Boa noite. Fica ali. Não mudar nada.
Nessa quero uma pessoa que não tem licença. Que tem licença.
Yeah, boa noite, tudo bem?
Turns out these men are fishermen who could produce the licenses to be here.
So they've all turned out to be legitimate fishermen.
Yeah, they are legitimate. Their licence checks out.
But in Mozambique right now, everyone is guilty until proven innocent. 2 mornings later, another group of men prove the point.
So this fishing licence is issued to a bloke who's not here.
That's correct, yeah. Actually, in actual fact, every one of these individuals here is here illegally. One bloke is from Tanzania. He doesn't have a legal pass to be here. And the other 2 are local guys, but they don't have licenses either.
Which makes you wonder.
Yeah, it does. It's very easy for these guys to infiltrate and get in close to where the pockets of elephant are.
Well, they get a lot more money for a tusk than they would for a basket of those tiny fish.
Absolutely.
How valuable is this ivory for the people who are taking it?
The man on the ground is receiving about $50 a kilo, $50 US a kilo. And that has escalated from what was $5 a kilo a year, 2 years ago.
So in a very short space of time, it's multiplied exponentially.
Yes, absolutely. It's multiplied tenfold.
That's what they get here, but how much does it sell for in the black markets in Asia?
We are hearing stories of ivory being sold for as much as $3,000 a kilo.
Wow.
The stakes in this war could not be higher. And as in any war, intelligence is everything. Which is why Damien's convinced he can win with these. Drones. Unmanned aerial vehicles sending back live intelligence of what's out there.
3 years in Iraq, I always had these things buzzing over my head, and I knew that they were the reason that I came home safely a lot of the time. So I thought, if I can have one over there bringing me home safely, why can't these elephants have one here? You know, we know they work. I can send a drone out and cover in 2 hours what a ground team, one of our ground teams at Rangers is going to cover in a whole week. You know, I mean, you can't dispute that.
It's an expensive and ambitious plan, but you have to start somewhere. And Simon Beart, an aircraft mechanic from Melbourne, has come to Mozambique to build Damien's first drone.
I don't know anything about the tactics, about weapons and all of that. That's Damien's area, but I sure as hell can get some technology working here.
Well, you don't get paid anything for it. It's a big call.
No, I have done all of this. Damien and I have basically pieced this together ourselves out of our own back pockets. But we're getting there, mate.
All for the animals.
All, yep.
Okay, go!
But first, Damien's drone must launch and fly.
And away! Goes, mate. Beauty! Up he goes, like a homesick angel. That's the greatest hope for wildlife we'll ever know.
What a ripper, look at it go.
As soon as I came over here, I just said, geez, technology's going to win this war, and it will. Yeah. Listen, drones are the biggest revolution on the battlefield in decades. Yeah, mark my words, conservation will be changed by drones. Yeah, we're entering the drone age.
In the sky, on the ground, this battle will be fought on many fronts. But if successful, Damien and his men won't only ensure the future of the magnificent elephant, but potentially all of Africa's extraordinary wildlife.
We know that if we can look after the elephant, the hardest animal in the ecosystem to protect, we know that everything else is going to be covered. We're looking after the whole environment in that area.
So protect the elephant and effectively you protect all of them.
Exactly, mate. Exactly.